Agriculture plays a significant role in the Philippine economy as it is the backbone, the seeds, rooting out to bear fruits and opportunities concerning the lives of Filipinos.
Despite the plan to make the Philippines an industrialized economy by 2000, it remains an agricultural country having a land area of 30 million hectares, 47% of which is agricultural land.
Most citizens still live in rural areas and support themselves through agriculture.
With a labor force of about 40% of Filipino workers, the agricultural sector of the Philippines contributes an average of 20% to its GDP or gross domestic product.
However, agriculture is dying in the Philippines.
Since time immemorial, the agricultural sector of the country has been beset with persistent challenges. The following are some of the factors that the country and its constituents shall and must shed a light on.
Number 1. Land conversion. Farmable lands are declining as they are continuously being converted into industrial zones, such as malls and subdivisions. The country has been blessed with different kinds of bodies of water and fertile lands, being perfect for farming, and a climate that is favorable in growing various kinds of high-value crops. But because of economic industrialization, this industry has been challenged and our priorities have changed, almost forgetting our fundamental need for survival.
Second, lack of support, information, and training. Agriculture is what feeds a country. Without sellers of rice and other crops, a lot of Filipinos would starve, yet the government is failing to revitalize the agricultural sector of the Philippines. Our farmers need programs about smart and efficient irrigation techniques, appropriate machinery, suitable varieties, and cultivation techniques for our country to build more sustainable agriculture and food systems.
Irrigation is vital in farming as it maintains the moisture of the soil. For the crops to grow well, moisture is necessary not only for the germination of seeds but also for the growth of the roots of the plants. Without the provision of proper irrigation, the soil would dry out and crops would wilt. Good fertilizers, pesticides, and seeds are imported from other countries, making them expensive and unaffordable for the lonely farmer. But if the government would help the farmer more by providing them adequate space of land, fertilizers, equipment, and rightful salary, then the agriculture sector wouldn't have to suffer too many burdens.
As years pass, countries including the Philippines are coping up to be one of those modernized countries. That being said, people nowadays prefer to work in offices, factories, and different buildings where they have their corporate titles rather than cultivating crops for the nation's consumption. Our farmers are getting older, and sooner or later we'll be needing someone to take their places. But it seems that only a few students have the interest in agriculture and being a farmer. Also, with rising technologies, a lot of new types of equipment and pieces of machinery are being made. But the Philippines, considered a third world country, is being left behind with these innovations.
Number 4. Farmers themselves and their traditional methods. There wasn't much equipment before, and the people's way of farming is very hard because they do almost everything by hand together with their strength and power. But this type of agriculture work should be in the past. There are already different kinds of machines to do the hard labor. But we have to admit that some of our farmers, especially the old ones, refuse to change their cultivation practices. They prefer the traditional way and don't want to try something new. Filipino farmers are wary when a mechanized planter or new technology is being introduced. They think that it would displace some of their jobs. But in reality, new machines don't have the intention to replace farmers. They are done to make work a lot easier. Always remember not to work hard, but smart.
And fifth, climate change and natural disasters. We can't prevent natural calamities like typhoons, earthquakes, landslides, and soil degradation from happening, especially since these are common in our country. Extreme weather conditions like these can bring severe damage to farmers and the agriculture sector. When there's a typhoon, as we can see on news reports, our crops are most likely destroyed. Either they are all ready to be harvested or are newly planted. And when it's the season of El Nino, expect to have droughts that cause a humongous loss of agriculture production. Climate change and its consequences do have an impact on our agriculture.
The following are some of the outcomes of the challenging issues the agricultural sector of the Philippines is facing. Number 1. Limited diversification and low productivity causes the country to constrain agricultural transformation. Number 2. Low farm incomes. Number 3. Low rural employment. Number 4. Lack of food security. And number 5. Natural resource degradation.
Now, with all the problems our country's agricultural sector is experiencing,
What could be the possible ways to strengthen and revitalize it?
How can the Philippines have a booming agricultural sector?
Number 1. By having and ensuring well-functioning irrigation systems and an efficient transport infrastructure. Since our location is prone to different natural disasters, a well-developed irrigation system might solve the problem. Not only will it prevent floods damaging the crops, but can also increase productivity. The government must prioritize the requirements of the agricultural sector and develop good infrastructure for farmers by building dams that will ensure water supply reliability, expanding irrigation networks, and constructing more farm-to-market roads, milling centers, and others more. These investments, ensuring that farmers are given the opportunity to efficiently reap what they sow, play a key role in relieving the pressure on the agricultural system as well as on the environment. These infrastructures also generate marked improvements in farmers' incomes and standards of living, given the fact that it partakes into the whole picture of a thriving agricultural sector because of the support and leverage it provides for the possibilities of more productive activities, especially for small farmers who are the biggest contributors to agriculture in developing countries but typically are the most vulnerable members of society.
More farms, less land conversion. Day by day, as development spreads, the amount of fertile farmland diminishes. Farms feed and bring benefits to us, yet they are being threatened as they are continuously being transformed into commercial lots. Evaluating the status of farmlands is important, and we should also include goals to increase the land area devoted to farming in designated agriculture regions. Remember that farmable lands are essential in helping the growth of our agriculture.
next, embracing technology, change, and new ways of farming. As technology continues to arise, we must learn to adapt and apply them in our lives. New developments and projects that will help farming be easier must be implemented properly in our country. These new equipments and machines should be well introduced and explained to farmers so that they won't fear letting go of past traditional methods of farming and start trying new things. They should be reminded that old practices of cultivation won't be totally forgotten and neglected. They will just be improved for the betterment of production and make loads of work lighter. Science and technology have helped humans a lot in almost every aspect of life, and agriculture is not an exception. Innovations related to agriculture would be a great help in achieving better productions of crops.
The last one is prioritizing our farmers. At the end of the day, the well-being of farmers should be kept in mind while implementing agriculture programs and projects. After all, they are the main food producers of the country. They play such a vital role in the agricultural industry that we might not survive, and the food that we eat is not possible without their presence. But from then until now, they only receive a small amount of income that is barely enough to meet their needs. We should set goals that will bring our farmers out of the poverty trap that they are currently in. So by increasing and diversifying the income of the farmers, not only will it help them in their everyday lives, but it will also encourage them to purchase additional land to cultivate crops that will result in agricultural growth. Being a country with rice as a staple, we cannot afford to lose our farmers as their unproductivity can lead to a problem of food insecurity.
In the end, we all know how important agriculture is, especially for our country since our economy mostly depends on it.
Even though it is particularly significant, it's sad to see that several people are blind to all the hard work and efforts farmers and fishers put into their jobs.
There are still a lot of younger generations whose eyes aren't open to seeing all the things that are lacking when it comes to giving support to agricultural sectors.
Instead of appreciating their hard work, people tend to even ridicule and think lowly of jobs whose main focus is in agriculture.
We should all take a minute or two of our time
to help them as much as we can
and spread the word
about the shortcomings of others when it comes to agriculture.
preserve farmlands,
protect farmers.